right, Tim Seanor with the UFO Report coming on in before he heads next week back to Vernal, Utah, and some studying back on near Skinwalker Ranch. And, you know, we're glad to have Tim back, and thank you so much for joining us today, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Dave. It's great to see you.
Busy night or busy day in ufology the last couple of days. Very busy.
Indeed.
You know,
back to UFO radio.
A lot of opinion, a lot of question marks, a lot of weird stories. I mean, my goodness, man, where do we even start here tonight? I think we should start probably with an article that came out in the Popular Mechanics about the fact that the U.S. government is investigating that UFOs are not man-made. What do you got for this?
That's a good report. Okay. So a new congressional report redefines UFOs as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon and updates how we sort them, man-made or not. The changes reflect evolving language around defense across various domains, and the government is likely considering Russia and China to be the real threats, though the report leaves things open to interpretation. And so this recent congressional document has revealed plans to divide the unidentified flying objects into two groups. Excuse me. And those that are understood to be human-made and those that are not. It also expands upon the scope of UFOs, which are no longer limited to just flying objects, by redefining them as unidentified aerospace undersea phenomenon. And so this is an addendum to the Authorization Act coming from the Intelligence Agency for the fiscal year of 2023. So this is the rebadging, and the government's admitting that some of these reports aren't of man-made source. Dave, I know you're excited. Let's talk about it.
I am excited by this because I think it opens up a whole new door of ufology. It really does. And I think reading between the lines, and I know a lot of people are sick of me saying that statement, reading between the lines. I think it really goes to show that the United States government knows a heck of a lot more than what they are leading on to the public at this point. All right, for them to make the call, and it's not all of them. Let's be honest, it's not all of them. But for some of them at the Pentagon or within the government or military to make the call that these are not human-made craft, they are possibly extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial, time-traveling craft, whatever you want to call them, that is a big step towards where is our future going? Where are we leading to? Where is this taking us? And it's one of those little snippets, Tim, that comes with a million questions that will never be followed up by the media or never be answered by the government. And it's sad because we keep getting led on by things like this. We do. So I'm torn. I like hearing it. The experiencer in me is like, well, of course, where the hell do you think they were coming from? But there's a harsh reality to it too, that it might be years before that admission is made again. When I say years, I'm talking decades. Hey, it could happen tomorrow, could happen the next day, but the likelihood isn't.
That's right. That's right. And with 75 years of silence, it doesn't look like they're going to open the books anytime soon. But they did speak of 24 reports that were considered not of man-made origin in their last public hearing. And I think that that screams interesting. And it goes into that other box here that they're talking about. And so, you know, we're going to see a lot more of this coming in the next hearing. And I think that the fact that they're considering USO or the underwater submerged object, or I think that they're highlighting the fact that they're looking into not just aerospace, for this phenomenon is a huge flag, if you will, to the fact that they are opening and expanding their horizons on their data search. We know now that Galileo Project is taking a look at the bottom of the ocean to start. At the same time as they're looking into the skies, I think that that shows that this research needs to be on ground, in the air, and below the water, looking at the, the ocean floors and taking a look at some of those maps that we have of the ocean floors, maybe, and reconsidering some of the data we already have. But absolutely interesting that they're relabeling again to include the ocean, as part of where they're going to be looking for the phenomenon. I mean, that is the most interesting part for me personally, with this, that they're relabeling it again.
Well, I think too, as we move forward, if you take into account Jim Semivan and Gary Nolan coming out the last few months as experiencers, it does make sense that the government would start to make that turn of these craft being of non-human origin. It makes complete sense, because things happen in patterns, Tim. They happen in patterns, and it's easy to find if you know what you're looking for. And that's why I always tell our audience, read between the lines. The story is right there. The story is right in front of your eyes.
And so for yourself, as a journalist in this story for so long, what is this pattern that you're seeing?
Well, I mean, I think it all leads to more experiential talk. I think we're going to see more people come out as experiencers, maybe even people we don't know, maybe government officials. What would it mean? And I'm speaking totally tongue-in-cheek here. What would it mean if all of a sudden Christian Gillibrand or Marco Rubio came out as an experiencer? What would it mean if the face of disclosure, Luis Elizondo, came out as an experiencer? What would it mean if the silly rumors of Barack Obama, the former president, being a time-traveling chrononaut were true? All right? Hey,
right.
You can't make this stuff up. This stuff has been brought out.
Right.
But the thing is, Tim, we don't know. We don't know. But what we do know is that the keen interest that is happening with big names such in this field, such as Jim Semivan and now Gary Nolan, talking about their own ET contact that they have had, and the government now saying and admitting, finally, after 5 years, it's not Russia, it's not China. There is no threat narrative coming from Asia and Eastern Asia, like many of people in ufology told you so. It all leads down to one thing: contact. And in these little symbols that they are making, Tim, and statements that they are saying, does this mean that they are actually slowly but surely starting the brainwash process of contact?
Yeah, well, they're definitely considering the other box, and that is huge. The fact that they're discussing openly UFOs being potentially not man-made. That's massive. That's not a dialogue we've ever heard coming from our government before. And I think Ross Coulthart had an incredible interview with Gary Nolan, where Gary was very open, talking about his multiple experiences that he's had with UFO in his life, as a child, and then again, I believe, as an adult. And so, it may take an experiencer to know an experiencer, if you will. And so he's the right man for the job. And to be honest, I think most of us that have seen a ton of video or talked to a ton of witnesses know when they're hearing something genuine. And to hear Gary Nolan speak on his experiences demonstrates somebody that has had a real experience and understands that this is a very strange topic to be serious about. And so for somebody coming from Stanford University with his background being now up for a Nobel Prize as a nominee, he's being taken seriously on a topic that is really hard to be taken serious. So he's absolutely the right man for the job because he represents it coming from a man of knowledge, a place of knowledge, with his experience, his lifelong experience with the phenomenon, and then his knowledge and his understanding of science that he's bringing to the table. So he's able to bring that along with it and to demonstrate. And this is no surprise that he's been part of the UAP task force since the beginning, and he's absolutely the right person to be talking on these topics. I'm glad he's representing experiencers personally.
And what a job that is being done out there, okay, in trying to move the ball forward. I could only imagine how difficult this is. We don't know what's happening politically behind the scenes or within the Department of Defense or Space Force or anything. We don't know how hard the job has been for people like Lou Elizondo or Chris Mellon. You know, the up and down roller coaster battles that they have fought on public levels and on personal levels behind the scenes to keep their names in the loop from not being canceled. It has to be incredible. I don't know if I could handle that much pressure of what's going on. And now you throw Gary Nolan into the mix. I mean, he doesn't care. He has it made at Stanford. He's got a laboratory named after him. He walks around that school like he is a science god. He has, I believe, on the UFO front, done experimentation and studies on over 200 people who claim to have had close encounters with UFOs or extraterrestrials, that he's studied their brain and their bodies to see what effects have happened. And I think it's great. We need more of that. You know, we don't need more groups. We don't need more documentaries of dots. We don't need, more, bogus information of Batman balloons and weird things that when zoomed in look like triangles in night vision cameras. We need more proof. So what is proof? Well, proof can be anything. If a person's anecdotal story matches up with a photograph or a video taken by a third party, that's pretty good, isn't it? That's acceptable, right? Or maybe somewhere out there, some farmer's field in the middle of Iowa or somewhere like that, maybe there's a piece of UFO debris that fell off that we can use for testing. Who knows?
Yeah, and also the biological signatures that Gary's getting into, with the physiological changes that people go through for before and after a UFO experience. I think that's massive, and looking into the people that have had these experiences and getting into the biological changes that their bodies have gone through, signatures that only experiencers have. That, to me, is also incredible evidence.
I agree with you on that. You can't argue logic. You just can't, Tim. And, there's a lot of illogical going on. There's a lot of posturing going on. And I am sure that, somebody like Chris Mellon or Lou Elizondo is not having an easy time with things right now, even from their own people. I mean, let's face it, that old saying, my enemy of my enemy is my friend now. And I'm sure that's happening a lot with the government in trying to derail and cancel this subject that we love so much. And I don't know where this is going. I don't know what the answers are or where the answers are. Does it lead to more congressional hearings? And if so, how public are those going to be? Is it going to be a waste of time like we saw previously? Or is it going to be seeing immunity granted for military members to break their NDAs on this subject? I want to see that. I want to be a fly on the wall. I volunteer.
Yeah, and I definitely think that we're going to keep seeing traces of them trying to control the narrative. The same way we recently saw Susan go out Lou Elizondo as being part of the Space Force. You know, these little slips, that's their way of controlling things. And I also feel that we're going to see more things like that slipping out. You may not be a Lou Elizondo fan, you may not care here or there, but it's the fact that they're controlling the information about these people. And often they don't attack the cases, they don't attack the information, they attack the people.
And that's why we love Tim Seanor here for the UFO Report. When we return with Tim, we're going to stop by Stanford University, where scientist Gary Nolan warns of massive UFO alien disclosure coming soon, and whistleblowers are ready to speak. Next on the UFO Report. I swear to God, I'm going to kill this moth.
That is good radio. Moth killing.
Yeah. You should have seen the wasp hunt on Sunday, man.
Waspocalypse.
Oh, waspocalypse happened. I know there's one more nest in there. I know there is. And I'm going after it tomorrow.
So round one was sting free and successful?
35-0, buddy. 35.
I've got one leg in those pants already, buddy.
Oh, dude. You're nailing it.
Good stuff.
Missed it.
Hey, Fylth. How's it going, buddy?
He's dirty as ever.
Oh, not bad.
I love your piece of art tonight. It's awesome.
It's almost done. I just got the lettering. The most painful part. The thing I respect more than anybody in the world are people that do.
Oh, shoot. I got to go to my protest camera.
Protest cameras? No, the people that do lettering.
He's pro-cannabis. Pro-cannabis.
See that dot right there? See that dot right there? On my flag? No, that is a giant daddy long legs.
Oh.
Here, let's see if I can zoom in.
It's making a statement that it is pro-cannabis. I love your cannabis flag, buddy. It's so awesome.
That's a Canada flag.
Oh, I mean Canada. Sorry, I always get that confused.
Yes.
Canada, cannabis.
Yeah.
I just know you're a supporter. I'm just kidding, bud.
There we go. Peace.
I know you're a Canadian, eh? You're not a hoser.
Always. Once a hoser, always a hoser. Hey, Cryptid 559er, how are you? I have seen those salt shotguns. I need one, but they'll probably get banned by the current prime minister because we're not allowed to have fun that way. I'm telling you, 35-0, Tim. 35-0.
I actually am really glad that you're having success and you're not getting, stung. So that's good news, bud.
You have to watch them. When they start getting aggressive, you got to pull back.
Yeah, they might try and flank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, classic military technique.
Mm.
All right. Let's have a gander here.
And so you never know with Prime Minister Pretty Boy. You never know what he'll ban next. He tried, put it this way, his latest stupid statement was that people are angry with the liberal politicians in power right now, not due to their ineptitude, but because of climate change. Climate change is the reason why Canadian people are speaking out against their presiding powers in Ottawa. Not the fact that they're doing a terrible job right now.
Dirty Fylth has no comment.
Tim
you can't make Dude, you can't make this stuff up. That's the truth.
We also have paper juice box water bottles sort of things up in Canada.
What I don't understand is paper straws. That
I
is
hate
the most frustrating thing ever invented by man. Paper straws.
They need to coat them in wax.
I mean, Dave, they need you on the board.
Just coat the straws in wax. You can have paper straws. Wax doesn't hurt the planet. Coat the straws in wax on the inside, not the out, on the inside.
He's a genius.
It's not that difficult. Thank you tonight to Molly, Thomas, Pam, Chris, Gary, Obi Flett, and Smithy. And for clarification, Michael Morris, yes, it is a no politics rule unless you're taking shots at the Canadian Prime Minister. That's the only thing we allow. Low Pro, Prairie Fire, how you doing? That's all we allow. Use earwax from Dave. My ears are clean. What a jerk comment. Use earwax from Dave. All right, we're coming back here in like 4 seconds. Rounded third, headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Touch 'em all, Joe. The old Blue Jays. You know, Joe Carter's home run to win the World Series over the Wild thing. Mitch Williams took the ball over the left field wall by like inches. Yeah, we remember those days. Hey, I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the UFO Report. Little Timmy Seanor is here, and we are going to head over to Stanford University in California, one of the Ivy League schools, where Professor Gary Nolan, who is very much into ETs, is saying we need to start prepping for full disclosure, and more whistleblowers are going to come on out very soon. Tim, take it away.
That's right. A new article from How and Wise. A massive UFO disclosure is about to happen, as Stanford professor Gary Nolan claims that the government has been covering up suspected UFO visits and possession of technology that has been coming from another planet for decades. Dr. Nolan contacted important people in the government who have closely investigated UFOs and asserted that they are about to disclose some information. And so on August 21st, 2022, Dr. Nolan had an interview with Ross Coulthart on the Australian channel News 7, where he discussed his role in working with the government on analyzing and studying individuals that encountered UFOs. According to Nolan, there is a group of people that were involved in recovering UFO debris for secret government programs, and these individuals will soon be coming forward to reveal all they know. And so, when you say that the government has been involved in a cover-up, do you think that they've been hiding it all this time? Coulthart asked. Oh yes, I know it's a fact because I've spoken to important people who are about to come out and whistleblow on it. No, and this is a direct quote from Nolan. So he has first-hand information here that these whistleblowers are coming forward. And so I'm pretty excited to hear, you know, if we're getting transparency now, hopefully we'll get details from these people when they come out. What do you think is going to happen, Dave?
You know what? I want to see who the whistleblowers are. Who are they? Are they going to be people that we know? Or are they going to be more like Lou Elizondo types that are out of the woodwork, that have maybe been working in this field or have worked in this field in, say, the last 25, 30 years? I mean, we could see people coming out as experiencers as well, maybe former Men in Black, if that program ever existed. You know, there's a lot that can happen here. And, you know, I just hope, for the sake of what we do, I really hope that these whistleblowers come to the table. And I think a lot of this, Tim, is riding on the proposal that after the next budget passes in the U.S., that this is going to come down to whether or not immunity is granted. If immunity is granted to these people, where they can speak publicly about what they've seen, what they've experienced, what they've heard, the reports they have taken, the craft that they have eyewitnessed themselves, and potential of talking or intercepting radio waves from UFOs and or extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once that door opens, the question is, though, who are they going to be whistleblowers to? Are they going to be whistleblowers just for the sake of being able to speak their 15, 20 minutes in front of government officials? Or are they going to be whistleblowers like Elizondo, who come out into the public eye and rip this topic wide open? That's where we need to see. That's what we need to figure out. Because to me, a whistleblower is not someone who is doing it behind the scenes, behind the curtains at the Congress, at your congressional buildings down in Washington, D.C. A real whistleblower gets in front of the public, gets in front of the microphones, okay, does interviews, news stories are done about him or her, goes on podcasts, like there's so many great ones out there discussing these subjects. That's what I hope happens.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be great if Gary Nolan brought his test subjects forward with the data that he finds out about the changes that they've had physiologically, and then those witnesses come forward with how that happened and their interactions with UFO. And they did this through public hearings and in front of Congress. I mean, that's kind of the perfect scenario where you have as much data with a corroborating story. You know, that would be one great hypothesis of that coming forward. But I think a big problem that we're seeing is how things are actually classified from the very top. So at the time of the report, when it's created, whoever's writing that report, they're the people that classify it. And of course, we're seeing that these things are classified based on how that data is collected sometimes, not even on the information in the report itself. So it's incredibly frustrating to see how this stuff filters down, that we're having to rely on whistleblowers to come forward. But in an ideal situation, it would be something like that, something where we have multiple data points along with the whistleblower's story, not just anecdotal stories. You know, we really need to come with evidence at this point. You know, proof and evidence is hard to come by, but people like Gary Nolan are attempting that by getting data and then a corroborating witness. And so that would be my idea of what a whistleblower that he would know about would potentially be, something along those lines. And in which case, that would kind of be ideal, Dave.
It would. And once again, I hope they are strong people with strong stories to tell. That's what we need, Tim. That's what we need. We got to continue on here. Let's head over to the Hill, where thehill.com was reporting an op-ed piece that the Pentagon is talking about all these UFO videos, and it's finally time to release them to the public.
That's right. The Pentagon has at least 24, and likely far more, the UFO videos in its possession. And so despite public commitments to transparency, officials refuse to release any of the footage. But the government's rationale is that the disclosure would jeopardize sensitive sources and methods, and likely holds no water in many of the videos. So in March of 2019, amid increasing military encounters with objects appearing to exhibit highly advanced flight characteristics, the Navy instituted a standardized UFO reporting mechanism. And despite heavy redactions, these reports show that fighter pilots are frequently left stunned by such incidents. And so, very importantly, the Navy's new reporting procedures allow aviators and intelligence officers to submit video footage and other sensor data. In response to a Freedom of Information Act recently, the Navy confirmed that 24 videos are associated with 19 UFO reports spanning June through December of 2019. And so if the Pentagon continues receiving 20 UFO videos every 6 months, it would have well over 100 videos in its possession by now. And so, of course, increased awareness and the new reporting mechanism and reduced stigma likely resulted in aviators submitting far more UFO footage than ever before. And so, moreover, the 24 videos accompanying the 19 reports, it appears that air crews are unlikely to submit a UFO report without including corroborating data. So this is massive. You know, this is a very interesting piece of information. And if you actually look into the actual release in the FOIA, it reads as so that in this request, it has been identified that the 24 videos that are responsive to your request, quote unquote, these videos have been deemed classified and are exempt from disclosure in their entirety under exemption, blah, blah, blah. And this is in order to protect national security information concerning the national defense or foreign policy from disclosure, provided that it has been properly classified in accordance with this blah, blah, blah. So again, we're seeing the facts are being hidden because of how they've obtained the data. And so sourcing methods are keeping these videos classified from us. And so, Dave, there's still going to be stumbling blocks moving forward, and we're hoping to clamber for transparency. But even in a FOIA, they're only hinting at the information.
Well, I mean, do you have the videos or not? Let's just get right to it. Are the videos there or not? If the videos are there, do they harm national security? That was the big argument about everything regarding the videos. What do they have that does not harm national security? Okay. Every video we have seen so far is a nothing burger for harming national security. And there's the big siren. The fire department's being called out as we speak. You know, they're going to look for UFOs right now. The aliens are coming by SOR headquarters. It's beautiful. I don't even have to pay for that security. Hold on, it's gonna ring one more time here. Fantastic. They're gonna fire it up one more time.
Alien alarm. I love it.
Here it comes. Hold on. There it is. You know, I absolutely love the alien siren. The sad part is, you know, it's
Silent Hill.
Well, no, something bad is going on right now in reality.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't like that. I like to brighten it up, saying that that's my alien siren. There's a UFO flying over right now, maybe with Bigfoot attached at the bottom of it. But no, getting back to the Hill article, I thought it was a great op-ed piece, and I do believe that it's time that we start saying and putting pressure on, saying, where are the videos? Where are they? We don't need a Jeremy Corbell, and this has nothing to do with Jeremy Corbell or Tim McMillan or some of the great faces that have brought videos out previous. Okay, we don't need them. What we need is someone from the Pentagon to say, this is what we have for you. Remember this whole transparency thing we were talking about? This is what we have. Let's make this happen. All right? Let's make this work for us. And that's what we need. Tim, we don't need any more. And if there's that many videos out there, you don't have to release them all at one time. Do a couple here, a couple there. every couple weeks. Stagger them out.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, again, that we're seeing that the sourcing methods is the stumbling block on declassifying the information. It's not the information itself. It's not the fact that these are videos of potential UFO. It's the fact that it was potentially taken by a camera that is not maybe made public, or maybe it's over a part of the world that we're not supposed to be. But the fact remains is that it's interesting information that we'll never actually probably get to see as the public, simply because of the sourcing method. And so part of the reconstruction of how things are classified from the very top were in discussion just a few months ago. And I think it's also in need to be highlighted here again. If we expect any of the facts to get trickled down to the people that need to know about it, you have to change how things are classified at the source. And so it's a problem. And no matter how good of a FOIA request writer you are, if it's information that's sourced via methods that are classified, you're never going to get that information. You'll just get vague numbers about information that could be real or could just be mundane. And so who knows what they're looking at? But the frustrating parts come that we can kind of assume that what they're being shown is probably, again, drone videos. You know, they're not trying to convince or change any minds. This is 75 years of cover-up, you know, and the fact that they're just now starting to break into an other box, they're not going to rapidly fill that other box. You know, that's going to be a hard sell. And even if that box gets filled, the public may only hear that it gets filled and may never see what it's filled with.
Very true. Let's go to our final story. But before we do, Dirty Fylth, our cartoonist, who does a great job each and every night drawing cartoons during our show. You can watch it on our YouTube channel or Twitch. His dad apparently listens to the show every night. So we want to give a big shout out tonight and say hello to Corporal Wayne, formerly of the PPCLI, Canadian Armed Forces, Royal Canadian Armed Forces in the Army Division, for Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry is what it stands for, PPCLI. Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry out of Edmonton, Alberta. We love our veterans around here. And thank you, Corporal Wayne, for your amazing service in the Royal Canadian Armed Forces. We very much appreciate you tuning us in and showing us the love as well. All right, final story of the night. We got about 5 minutes here, Tim. And this one, I'm just shaking my head. All right, I am. It comes from a Catholic theologian, and this is nothing against the Catholic religion. So let's not, start tearing our hair out here.
Do you have it in front of you, Dave?
I do.
Would you read us on in? Because I don't actually have it. Please.
All right.
Your creamy peanut butter voice. Yes.
This is from Australia, called perthnow.com.au. Okay. Aliens are actually demons sent by evil powers. Here we go. Religious scholars claim that there are several parallels between UFO sightings and demonic encounters as they seek to explain to worshippers why there is no suggestion of alien existence in religious texts. Catholic theologian Dr. Paul Thigpen said that NASA's probe into UFOs suggests that officials know a lot more than what they're telling. He said, the diabolical hypothesis that they are demons best accounts for some reports, especially some of the so-called alien abductors that demonstrate clear parallels with what the church knows as demonic encounters. The theory was also proposed by late Archbishop Chrysostomos of Etna, who said, ultimately one cannot escape the conclusion. The alien abductors are demons or phantoms created by demonic power. If these musings prove correct, we have an intimate battle of good against evil on our hands of Steven Spielberg proportions. At least according to psychic Uri Geller, who has a famed spoon-bending ability, last year claimed aliens are preparing to make contact with human races. Moreover, he says there is no doubt extraterrestrials exist and that UFOs have been visiting Earth secretly for thousands of years, which would explain The Exorcist. Apparently, the writer thinks that this would explain it. But yeah, so here we have a Catholic theologian. But here's the funny part about this story, Tim. That theologian obviously didn't do his homework from the Vatican. Vatican has a very keen interest in space with their Lucifer telescope in New Mexico. Yeah. We have Pope Francis a few years ago stating that if ETs showed up on this planet, he would be more than happy to baptize them. We have them doing a study over the last 6 years on how people from different religions would react to extraterrestrial contact. The Vatican has been preparing for what maybe they know in their vaults for a lot of time, a lot of thinking. And I think Mr. Theologian, personally, my opinion, is a little narrow-minded in his comments. And look, I'm going to state this, Tim. I know you're a nuts and bolts talk religion. Okay. But I'm a guy. Okay. I am. I always have been. I'm not. I don't profess to any religion. It's just a personal belief that I have. And I'm not as the alpha, and science has already proven that the universe is infinite, still growing. Who are we to say that God didn't create life elsewhere before he came to Earth and did it here? That's a pretty naive thinking of anybody on this planet. That's like me saying that everybody who comes from Florida is a meth head, is a drug addict, is crazy, has a criminal record. That's not true. Or that every Canadian lives in an igloo and rides a moose, and the kids, have to walk uphill both ways to get to and from school in the morning in 6 feet of snow. That's not true. So to sit there and say, as we wind it up here, that if God is the creator and the Alpha and Omega, that we're his only life form, somebody needs to wake up. And on that note, Tim, I'm sorry I didn't get an opinion from you on that one. I really wanted one, but we ran out of time.
Thanks for having me on tonight, Dave. It's been fun, buddy.
I always appreciate you, my friend, and we will talk to you in a couple nights' time for another UFO report. Tim Seanor, everybody. He is absolutely amazing.